Hey costume nerds, it's me, Spencer Williams, co-host and producer of the Art of Costume podcast. Before we get started with today's episode, I had to share an exciting update with you all, especially those who will be attending San Diego Comic-Con in July 2024. This year, we are partnering with the Costume Designers Guild Local 892, who will be hosting 3 panels at San Diego Comic-Con. These panels will celebrate costume designers and showcase behind-the-scenes talent from your favorite franchises, including The Hunger Games, Orville, Atlas, Avengers Infinity War, The Mandalorian, The Last of Us, The Fall Guy, The Boys, and more. I am thrilled to announce that on Thursday, July 25th, I will be moderating The Secret to the Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes Costumes panel featuring our friend, costume designer Trish Somerville and her incredible crew. Then on Friday, July 26th, don't miss the Behind the Futuristic Costumes of Netflix's Atlas panel with Emmy-winning costume designer Daniel Orlandi and his team, moderated by assistant costume designer Ivy Heather Fade. Finally, on Saturday, July 27th, join us for the Ordinary People, Extraordinary Characters panel, moderated by Philip Boutte, featuring Emmy-winning costume designer Cynthia Summers and assistant costume designer Kelsey Chobotar from The Last of Us Season 1. Emmy-nominated costume designer Sarah Evelyn and assistant costume designer Annie Loper from The Fall Guy, costume designer Wendy Chuck from Twilight and the upcoming live-action Lilo and Stitch, and costume concept artist Gina Di Domenico from The Boys. Keep up with the San Diego Comic-Con schedule online, and I can't wait to see you there.
I was like, that's your first clue that she can't end up with anyone besides Colin. Because she is like, oh, your clothes. And he was like, oh, yeah, it's like the latest fashion in Paris.
Yeah, she said, paint you like one of your French girls, babe. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And Modi said, I got you.
Colin was playing chess, but she was playing checkers.
Welcome to the Art of Costume podcast. I'm Elizabeth Joy Glass.
And I am the Viscount, Spencer Williams. Hey, Elizabeth.
Oh, hello. You're a Viscount now. I thought you were a lord.
I know,
That's what you keep telling me.
Viscount sounds cooler, though. I don't even know what that means or how you get one of those, what certificate program I need to take, but it's a cool word.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, we have a drama-filled episode today as we are getting into one of our seasonal favorite subjects. And I think we're going to need to bring in a little help for this episode. So we went about the ton, looked for our most gossipy friends. And then we're like, who else to bring back than our returning guest, one of our bestest friends, Lady Chloe White. Chloe, welcome back to the podcast.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Man, we missed you.
Yeah, missed you guys too. I mean, I talk to you all the time, but missed being on the pod. Really, 2 big hitters.
Yeah. The last time we had Chloe on was actually the Twilight podcast, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
Which is a classic.
A good one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a hot mess, and I love it for it.
I have a lot to say about Bridgerton, so.
We thought so, which is why we went directly to you. I mean, you're the closest thing I know to Lady Whistledown in real life. So
thank you.
Yeah. I mean, you literally came to us with a breaking development in the world, so.
Oh, yeah. Why don't you speak to that first before we get into all of our drama? What's going on in Lady Chloe Whistledown? What's going on in the world right now?
What's going on in the world as we speak? Taylor Swift has just brought out Travis Kelce onto the stage in full costume to do a performance. Okay.
Where are they located right now?
They're in London, England.
Oh, perfect for today's episode.
That's what I'm saying. They're at Wembley. So it's really just on theme. The rain is raining outside. The vibes, we're drinking tea. Like, vibes are high.
Oh, man. Well, and also we have to wish you a happy birthday as well. I mean,
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
of course, you're the first of us to cross over to the other side. And now Elizabeth and I start following you right after.
That is
Yeah.
true. Yeah. On the other side of my 20s. But really, I just feel like a 15-year-old girl. So
That's talking about Taylor Swift on a podcast with her two friends who have been crying about Bridgerton for 2 weeks.
listen, we're just baby girls. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Elizabeth, how's it going in the theater costume world?
Oh, it's going. It's going.
Drinking lots of margaritas and meeting parrot heads and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I also decided the other theater I was helping a while back
Right.
also asked for some help.
Oh,
So I've been trying to help there as well.
okay. You're
So
just booked in
it's
every
just-
theater now.
It's been a lot. It's been a lot.
Oh, well, good fun. Make sure you give us lots of updates, share some pictures. Perhaps.
Elizabeth is literally giving the woman who owns the fashion store, she's just like outfitting everyone.
Oh, right.
I am the modiste.
Yeah, you're the modiste.
Oh, what a dream job.
Yeah,
Speaking
no
of,
man, no drama, making
Mm-mm.
clothes. You love to see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
She gets so pressed, by the way, when Penelope's like, I think I'm going to quit. She's like, huh?
Right?
Oh, no.
She said, girl for a man?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, let's all get into Bridgerton season 3. Spencer, let's get into the summary so we can just talk.
All right. Well, in season 3 of Bridgerton, focus shifts to Penelope Featherington and Colin Bridgerton's evolving relationship as they navigate their feelings and societal expectations. Penelope struggles with her secret identity as Lady Whistledown while yearning for Colin's affection, leading to a series of misunderstandings and romantic developments. As the story unfolds, new scandals and secrets emerge, complicating the lives of the Bridgerton family and their friends. And that is Bridgerton season 3. It's pretty messy.
There's a lot of storylines.
Yeah. Messiest season yet. And it shows.
In a good way.
In a good way, yeah. So let's go behind the costumes. We have series creator Chris Van Dusen and costume designer John Glaser, who you will know from his work on Brotherhood, Person of Interest, which he did the first 2 seasons, I believe. He did a episode of Star-Crossed and 48 episodes of Gotham.
Interesting.
And the past several years, John has been working on every season of Bridgerton as a co-costume designer and was part of the show's season 1 Emmy nomination. And now in season 3, he's taken the lead.
Ooh, I love that. I was going to say he sounded quite familiar. He's like the unsung hero, and now he's center stage. He is Penelope Featherington in his, coming out era as the the costume designer.
As the costume designer. Absolutely. This is his debut season.
There you go.
He has been officially presented to the Queen and the Ton in season 3. And he spoke about, his time from season 1 to now, what they're trying to achieve in season 3, saying, for the first season, we threw everything but the kitchen sink at it because we had to define the characters very quickly. So it was broad strokes and distinct color palettes. For season 2, the costumes were a little bolder in color and more period correct. And this season, because of the story we're telling, we thought, let's make it softer. It's more textural and a little more blurry. We have layered fabrics, for instance. We take a warmer color and a cooler color and combine them. So when you're looking at a dress, you're not totally sure if it's blue or green.
Interesting.
He also talked it in style, saying, this season, we actually tried to make it look like a painting or a garden. We use lots of ombre from light to dark, just like flowers changing color, and this season changing colors. We wanted to make it look like a soft painting, which I love this second quote because I feel like it makes everything he says in the first one make a little bit more sense, where I'm like, oh yeah, this season really was there was so much more like structure and everything and more like artistic liberty that I'm like, yeah, you could say like they're paint like or like a garden.
Yeah, it definitely felt a lot more blurry this season. It wasn't very much like, oh, the Bridgertons were blue, the Featheringtons were like, I don't know, neon green or whatever. It just felt very much like blurry, and that everyone was just, I guess, yeah, it did feel a bit more period correct and just felt more like a historical representation of, like, you know, like you mentioned, a lovely painting. But I do have to say, though, he's understating it a little bit. There were some big, like, heavy hitter pieces, though.
Oh, yeah. That's where I'm like, especially with some of the characters where he's like, it's like a garden. It's like so many women in this season had just like beautiful floral detail and like literal like structures on their clothing that it really worked out. And they made this work out by adding 4,500 yards of material to their 7,500 plus wardrobe.
Jeez.
For Bridgerton.
That's a lot of clothes.
We've just continually expanded. I cannot wait to see what they do with this. Like, they're going to open a new costume house when this is done.
Basically. Yeah, because you think about all the people that are like walking around in the town and like around the town, and like every single one of those people has to be in one of these like wild outfits. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It is so wild. And I also love how they've taken it each season, clearly just altered everything to fit that season's vision. It's so brilliant.
Right. I do love that. And yeah, especially like Chloe said, like every episode, there was like a ball this season, it felt like. So, and I was just like, gosh, that's so many costumes. I was exhausted, honestly. So I'm excited to get into it because I feel like this is going to be a great way for us to break down what's happening. Because I don't know about you guys, but I binged the show in about 48 hours. So
Same.
Part 1 feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
I actually watched part 1 twice as well.
Oh.
Same.
I went straight from part 1 into part 2. I watched it all together.
It's kind of a good way to do it.
It was accidental, but it worked out.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Let's take a little break and talk about some costumes and all the hot, juicy tea.
Oh, yes.
If tea could be juicy. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll take a break and then we'll get to alerting the ton. I think we should start with someone very bold in their costuming and wiggatry. The wiggatry of it all is insane. The queen.
That's my new favorite word. Yeah, the queen was on something this season. I mean, she had a small world after all going on in her head and her costumes this season.
Quite literally.
Oh, yeah. And I love this wig. And it was like, it was really the first thing I feel like that like caught people's attention because it was heavily featured in the promotions for the 3rd season. And it was created by Emma Rigby under the supervision of Erica Ovist, who's the hair stylist for Bridgerton. And Erica talked about this wig, this glass swan wig, which is, when I saw it actually in the show, I was like, this is insane. This is...
I feel like I didn't even process seeing that.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it now being like, holy shit. Like,
yeah. I was looking for it because I had seen it in the promos and I was like, what is happening here?
It came up during like a tense moment too. And I totally like left whatever was happening just to stare at her wig. I was like, you guys figure it out. I'm going to look at that swan.
It is captivating. And Erica talked to Shondaland a little bit about creating it. She said, I wanted to have a little carousel with glass swans swimming around. Clockwork obviously has been around since the 1200s, so it was perfectly appropriate. Instead of a wind-up mechanism, I fashioned together a little motor, and Golda has a little switch under her arm. The most difficult thing was to make the clock work so quiet that a sound person wasn't going to be angry with me. I was like, oh, she was worried about her, Daniel.
I was going to say, sounds like my husband.
Daniel would hate this.
Don't mess up the recording.
Yeah. Well, it is really cool. And I mean, I thought the Queen's costumes, as always, were some of the best. I mean, we just watched Queen Charlotte, the other series, so now we're all like even bigger fans of her. And she just like walks into this room, is so captivating, and she just loves drama. You know, she loves seeking it out drama. She's so excited about trying to catch Lady Whistledown, and she just always looks incredible. Maybe in case she does catch Lady Whistledown, she doesn't want to be caught dead, you know. So
yeah,
I don't think she wants to be caught dead in a bad outfit anytime.
No. No, even her loungewear, like her like gold, blue, and like red robe that she wears just like lounging at home with still like a fabulous wig on. I'm like, she's clearly ready to pass, but like look still presentable at any moment.
Like the swan wig was like her PJ look, you know?
Yeah.
That's what she wears at Trader Joe's or the LAX terminal.
I think my favorite one is the pink one. That's the one that really stood out to me when I was watching the show, because that's from the wedding, right? When she, first of all, girl, I just have to say, not her trying to track Lady Whistledown at Colin and Penelope's wedding. I said, this is right. No. I said, this is not the time. Can anyone let this girl have one fucking moment of peace? Like,
it was so uncalled for.
I know. Because I've always liked the Queen, but in that moment I was like, do you need to talk to somebody? Like, are you okay? This is like a little unhinged even for the Queen.
Yeah. If I was Penelope, I would have said in the nicest of ways, my lady, can you kindly get out of my wedding?
Yeah.
I'm trying to dance with my new husband, who I've been obsessed with for approximately 13 years. Yes. So
since we were in the pandemic, watching these two make flirty eyes at each other, like, can we have a moment of peace? Oh man!
But she did slay with that look.
Yeah,
she did.
Yeah, she
did.
And
the hair on that one is chef's kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I also loved her ball gown for the final scene when spoiler, if you have not watched this season, which I don't know why you're listening to this if you haven't watched season 3 yet.
Yeah.
But when Penelope's revealing herself, that gown, it looks like a waterfall to me.
Ooh.
And I love it. As soon as I saw her walk in, I was like, yes, you are the queen. The flower detail, which I'm like, that perfectly fits in. Like, it all fits in with what the like paint garden look he was going for, and I love it.
Right. It was beautiful. I love the colors. I love the contrasting like purple and kind of like coral against that blue.
It almost looks like a Monet painting.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. The tones of that scene are all those like jewel tone kind of like colors too. I feel like the flowers and, you know, the butterflies and all that, like it all just goes very well together.
Absolutely. What also goes together quite well this season is the Mondrich family becoming part of the Ton. I personally love this storyline.
Yeah, they were so lovely. I love seeing these two together. I've said they had to get rid of the bar, but I mean, you know, it is what it is, I guess.
Just be rich, bro.
Yeah, I mean, there's worse things that could happen.
There's worse things.
I didn't understand why he couldn't like still own it, but just have somebody else run it. I was like, you have to sell it? Like, that didn't make sense to me, but I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
If it makes his wife happy, because I love Alice Mondrich. Because she always stands by her man, but I feel like in this season, she was really like taking the life she wanted for herself now that they have like the money to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And John talked to Essence a little bit about Mrs. Mondrich's wardrobe. He said she embraces her new situation and her clothing becomes more elegant and more sophisticated. And you'll see that evolve. She also doesn't want to show off. She doesn't want to be gaudy. She doesn't want to be out of place. But she has a lot of taste, and you'll see that. I was like, absolutely. Especially for this beautiful gold and red gown, which he also talked to Essence about, saying that look is really pivotal because it's the one time that we know the camera will shoot from floor to ceiling. And again, it was an opportunity. This is the first time she's out in society. I said this before. It's a time when a costume designer could have done something flamboyant over the top, that the audience would see the dress, but they wouldn't see the character. It would hinder the scene, and I feel that dress sets the tone for the rest of Alice's wardrobe that we see. We also used a color that was very complementary to her skin, so the costume, the actor, and the character kind of blend together.
Yeah, I love that.
I like that too, because she starts off when they get this money very kind of practical and like, well, all of these old lady dresses exist.
Yeah.
I'll wear these, which I'm like, girl, you could have like changed them up a little bit more than you did, but deciding to change her wardrobe altogether was a good call.
Yeah. I mean, I think she was just trying to go along with what she thought was expected of her, right? It's just like, well, this is what this lady of this house had and wore, so I don't want to shake things up and like be the center of attention. But I think she figured out a way to do it that is not like so bold and crazy. It's just very her and, you know, much more modern.
And I think, like, especially as we were just talking about the queen, we have to remember, like, this is the queen's game. And if she walked in with, like, you know, a flamingo on her head spinning around, the queen would have absolutely freaked out. So you really got to ease yourself into, like, this swimming pool of messiness, you know?
Which I think that is absolutely what she does, because the look she has at her and Mr. Mondrich's ball, which was so much fun. I think that was my favorite of this season. It's this beautiful like metallic with a floral design up the front.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's understated, but the metallic like really makes her pop and her be the center of attention.
She was able to get the job done without doing too much, because she's just also effortlessly beautiful. Emma Naomi is. So, that was a good character. I'm glad that they're getting more time.
Me too. A couple that didn't get enough time.
Never enough time for them.
No. Kate and Anthony.
Oh, phew.
I wanted more of them. I don't know about the two of you.
This is when I wish we could have our air conditioner on while recording, because
it's getting hot.
Yeah. Oh, man. I still am a big Kate fan. I mean, Simone Ashley's just so stunning. And they started this season pretty hot and heavy, like almost immediately. It was totally uncalled for, actually.
Out of pocket.
Sure, it wasn't none of us were waiting for that at all.
I was. Girl. And quite frankly, I could have used more.
Yeah, they didn't get enough time. I wish that Bridgerton would, but like, I know that they're not like the hot new thing this season, but we really, really like these characters. So
they're always hot and new to us.
Yeah.
Yes. And oh my gosh, if they don't show them next season, like being cute and adorable and amazing with their new baby over in India, I'm going to be so mad.
Yeah.
I'm so worried they've like written them off the show.
I think I read something that said that they definitely aren't going to be out of the story.
They better not. Shonda Rhimes, I know you listen to this podcast very regularly. Please don't do that to us. Please.
Yeah.
Please.
We We need Kate and Anthony, especially with Kate developing her style some more, as John talked about to Vogue, saying, there were subtle Indian references in season 2, but we were much more blatant about it this time. Her sleeves and the cut of her dresses are much more influenced by saris in the new way they flow at the back. And the colors. We went for earth tones, more natural colors, and colors of spice. And in the second half of the season, she becomes even more obviously influenced by Indian fashion, which I loved. Like, because she seems comfortable. I felt like in season 2, she was like trying to fit in with the town, with English society. And now she's like, I'm a Viscountess now. I can just be myself.
Yeah.
And look how I want to look and be who I am.
Yeah, she got the job done, so.
Yeah, she absolutely did. And now she is just being herself. And I love that it reflects in her wardrobe.
She found somebody that could match her freak, and they're just living their best life together. We actually got an Instagram message on our channel from Swinburne Tabitha. They wanted to know each of our thoughts on what we thought of Kate's costumes this season, which I think we've kind of already got into, but I love Kate's sari look, especially like the deep, like Bridgerton blue when she's kind of like event planning. You know, she's the Viscountess now. She's in her event planner era. She looks great. And I love the clash of the gold and the dark blue. She looks amazing.
It's so beautiful. I really loved that one too. I wanted to see more like that. And maybe next season we'll get more gowns for her like that. I also loved the like burnt orangey like cloak dress that she has. Like, I thought that was gorgeous on her.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the best looks for her. It's like so different from how she was dressed in season 2. I feel like she was wearing a lot of those necklines. You guys probably know this better than me, but basically the neckline everyone wears in Bridgerton, which is, you know, tits out. I don't know how else to describe it.
No, you got it. That's the scientific term.
Yeah. I mean, politically correct term. But it's just like, yeah, these outfits she's wearing in this season were just like so much more her. And I love that.
Well, I also felt like Kate was being like a role model to her sister in season 2. So they were doing everything by the book. And now, there's nothing holding them back. So Kate really got to just be herself. I also would like to mention I could have used Kate's sister in this season, but that's neither here nor there.
Edwina, we miss you.
I know. I liked Edwina.
I was so ready for Edwina to be in this season. I was also really ready for the queen to bring back the prince from season 1 and for him and Edwina to connect. And have a little love story.
Elizabeth was doing conspiracy theory work.
Yes, that's fully what I thought was going to happen. Because at the end of season 2, she mentioned something about like a nephew of hers. And I was like, oh my gosh,
yeah, she does.
Edwina's going to marry the prince. He's going to come back. And I was like, I'll bet season 2 will start with like their wedding or something.
Yeah, we got nothing. I had my hand out like, please.
She's off on the continent finding a man, apparently.
I mean, girl, they already had 65 marriage storylines this season. So they said, sorry, we got to draw the line somewhere.
Someone has
sorry,
to get
but no.
That's so true. There was so much. I was like, please let's not burn through all the children by the end of the season. Oh, man. Hey, costume nerds. This is Spencer from the future here with an editor's note. This next section of the podcast is about Francesca Bridgerton. For some reason during recording, I mix up her name with Hyacinth, and that snowballs into a chain of events in which we refer to Francesca as Hyacinth. So, as you continue to listen, just know every reference to Hyacinth is actually about Francesca. Now that I've confused you, thanks for listening, and continue on with the show.
Oh, speaking of burning through the children. Dun, dun, dun.
Hyacinth, no.
We got Hyacinth.
Oh man. Yeah, too bad. I would have liked her to have like her own season. Not. I wish they all didn't have to share this season.
Yeah.
I know. I would have liked her to still come out this season, but like, can we just get to know Hyacinth before she's paired off? Like, I don't know. I also feel like if they hadn't married her off this season, it would have been more of a learning experience for the Dowager Viscountess, because she still is a terrible parent, in my view. But anyway.
Damn, shots fired.
Not this again. We have had 2 years for you to sort this out, Elizabeth. I will not.
No,
I will not have it.
She's literally learned nothing. She's like, Eloise, I understand. I didn't do the right thing last season by pushing all these men on you. Therefore, I'm just going to ignore you. I'm just going to ignore you and try to do to your sister the same exact thing I did to you last season.
I totally trauma blocked your hate toward Lady Bridgerton, and you just unlocked it just now. I'm very happy with who Hyacinth ended up with. But
well, I don't know that Hyacinth is happy that she ended up with him.
I think she is.
I mean, she thought until they said Happy Pride, she had her gay awakening at the end of this show.
I don't think so. I think that's going to be for Eloise next season.
I don't know.
I don't think so, girl.
Let me just say, Chloe and I had our gaydars going off, and something wasn't
Listen,
working.
if there's one thing about me, I love a gayspiracy. So
I'll just say
you're not getting that by me.
Something happened.
Maybe you're right. I have seen this theory around, but I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing.
I think this is going to go to Eloise.
You think so?
Yes. Did you see how excited Eloise was to meet the sister?
I don't, but I just feel like she was like with that other guy in the other season. I mean, honestly, her and Cressida, they're giving couple, but I don't know.
I get, wait, Elizabeth, that was my first take, but then when I actually like kind of like went back, rewatched it, I don't know. I'm just saying Hyacinth just looked really thrilled and kind of took in the back when she met this.
Are they going to turn a Bridgerton, though, into an adulteress?
Oh, I'm not saying she's going to act on it.
Yeah.
No. But like, are they going to make a Bridgerton ever be unfaithful in any way, shape, or form to their partner?
I mean,
I don't know.
Didn't Anthony already kind of like have that whole situation at the end of season 1?
Yeah,
season
but they weren't married though.
I don't know, just all these Bridgertons are not exactly like outstanding citizens either.
Yeah, I'm like, Benedict has to have a little baby running around there somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. I think Anthony might too.
He's here, there, and everywhere.
Colin was getting it in quite a bit in this season.
Yeah.
Up until like the next day when he decided he was in love with Penelope, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we will.
Elizabeth, you should get us back to these costumes.
Anyway, yeah. I actually did kind of forget what we were talking about.
We didn't even start.
Oh, Hyacinth. Beautiful Hyacinth. John talked to Vogue a little bit about her, starting with her presentation dress, which I did not pick up on this at first. He said, so when she's presented to the queen, her dress is actually a copy of Daphne's dress from season 1. It's like a family heirloom being passed down. But her references after that point are Grace Kelly and a 40s Katharine Hepburn with her sheer blouses and little puff sleeves. She's in Bridgerton colors, but if you look closely, you'll see that she also wears a lot of light apricot blended with blue. So again, you're not really sure what colors she's wearing and where her story's going. That's what I like about this season. The first time you watch it, you're like, oh, look at that. Then the second time and the third time, you see so much more because of how we layered textures and fabrics. The closer you look, the more you'll see. Which I think That is so true, especially when you look at her wedding gown. I didn't realize how much detail was in that thing.
It's stunning.
Yeah, it's stunning. Probably one of my favorite costumes of the entire season.
I mean, she's stunning. I could look at her for hours.
Yeah. And let's talk about that casting for a second. I mean, Hyacinth could have literally been Daphne's sister, like in real life. They look very close. When we mentioned her wearing a copy of Daphne's dress at the very beginning, I caught that. And I was like, oh, Lady Bridgerton has a formula that she knows works. And we're going to follow that until it doesn't.
I can just see it in like Lady Bridgerton being like, okay, Eloise, we're going to fit Daphne's gown to you. And Eloise just being like, what? No, I don't want to wear that. Are you kidding me? If I have to wear something ridiculous, I want it to be at least mine. And then Hyacinth was just like, yeah, sure, whatever, Mom. She clearly didn't care. She didn't care about the day.
As long as I could get home and play piano in Stardew Valley by 8.
She said, I'm already overstimulated. So just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like, Mom, once again, let me just tell you, like, I'm not Daphne. Because she wants all of her daughters to be Daphne.
Yeah.
Because she's forgotten the trauma of what actually happened to Daphne in season 1.
Right.
And she sees Hyacinth as an opportunity to have another Daphne. And so puts her in the same dress, which I'm like, makes sense. Especially like that's a one occasion type of gown.
Chloe, can you hear Elizabeth's hatred toward Lady Bridgerton just bubbling at the surface there?
Yeah, I did not know this. I have never felt this way about Lady Bridgerton or clocked it, but
she doesn't know her children, which is insane because Kate is like, you seem so close to your children. I'm like, this woman doesn't know her children. Like, she's shocked when both Anthony and Hyacinth are like, I just want a good match. I don't need a love match. And she's like, what? And I was like, you clearly don't speak to your children.
I don't think it's that. I think she just hopes and wishes for them that they could have more than just a match.
Yeah.
I also have to say, when she is first introduced to the Marquess at the balloon party, I love her look in this because it shows what John's saying about them like layering fabrics. It's done beautifully there.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. I just love how the colors kind of like ebb and flow between like Bridgerton colors, but then kind of like transition where you could tell that she's like loyal to the Bridgertons, but she's also like, she wants to live her own life, do her own thing.
Yeah.
She also doesn't want like a busy life. She's like, I just want to play piano, get married, do the kid thing, and just like, I really don't want any
not
drama.
Too many kids.
Yeah, she's like,
she said like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Tops. I thought the Marquess was like, I would like 8 children, and she was out at that point.
Yeah.
She was like, no, thank you.
No thanks.
I don't love her look. The blue look with the jacket, which I think was when they ran. Was that originally when they ran into each other in town? She was wearing that.
So she has a couple of these. I in my head I think of them as kind of like Chanel.
Yeah.
Kind of coats.
That is what it's giving.
Yeah. In this season, like when he talks about like the inspiration being like Grace Kelly, Katharine Hepburn, I get it. But of this season, that is one thing I wasn't super here for was those jackets she wears.
I just felt like it made her look older than she is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it looks like something Lady Bridgerton would wear. To me.
Yeah.
I kind of like it, actually. I'm the opposite because I think she does wear it because I feel like she is one of the more mature people in the family. And I feel like she kind of dresses for that. And I think she sees herself as like, I'm going to be like the one Bridgerton to do this right, which is to lock this thing down real quickly. I'm polished and I'm ready to like move on. And yeah, sure, I'm your diamond, whatever that means. Like, I don't know. I kind of liked like the more like mature aspect of her. And she looks up to her mom and she's like, this is what my mommy would do.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And I feel like we get that same energy in this like peachy apricot number she wears to the ice cream parlor. It has the same structure. It is like another one of these little jackets. It has the same structure, but it's like a younger fabric choice, I would say. It doesn't age her the same way that like Chanel-y fabric does. Someone who's definitely trying to attract some attention though, we have Cressida. this season.
Honestly,
Who,
Cressida kind of sold me this season.
right?
I
Yeah.
mean, she's just done been through it. I'm like,
Yes. So I am like so mad with how her story went this season.
agree.
Because like she really had me in the first half, and I was like, I think I was talking to you about this, Spencer. I was like, I'm so excited for the second half of the season because she's definitely gonna get with Lord Debling. Like she's gonna make that work now that he's clearly not marrying Penellope.
Mhm.
I was like, she's gonna make that work, and Lord Debling just straight up disappears.
Now that you say it, yeah, forgot about him.
Oh yeah, where did
Yeah.
he go? I guess he just went back. He was like an animal guy, right?
Yeah, he was like going to
Yeah.
like draw pictures of leaves and like,
Yeah.
I don't know,
His eyes are starting to turn.
forage for mushrooms.
Yeah.
This might be shocking to both of you, but Cressida was one of my favorite characters. I know.
That's not shocking at all.
I know. I know. Crazy. But she was fantastic. And I really liked her a lot. Yeah, I also thought she kind of got like the shitty end of the stick because she was fighting for her life out here. Yeah, she made a bad call with announcing herself as Lady Whistledown. You know, like every once in a while we do something that you're like, wow, that was pretty cringy of me. Like something you did in high school and you think about that for like 10, 12 years later. This is going to be one of those moments for her. But she was doing what she had to do.
Yeah. It's not what I wanted for Cressida, though.
No.
After she was like a decent friend to Eloise.
Yeah, Eloise did her dirty. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I wanted Eloise and Penelope to become friends again, but that didn't mean you had to just like toss her to the side.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's kind of like a shitty thing. Also, what she did to Penelope and pointing out to Lord Debling, like that her and Colin were in love. Like, that's not nice. But I also get like when she was talking to Eloise, like, you can't have friends when you're in the marriage mart because you're like fighting for your husband.
Yeah.
And I was like, she saw him as her opportunity to get out of a horrible household. And she was doing everything in her power to secure that man. So I'm like, not cool, Cressida, but like, after you meet her father, like, I get it.
Yeah. I'm trying to book it out of there too.
Yeah, I know. God, that guy sucked.
And then they said, here's this old geezer for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
She said, I think I'm going to go play at Lady Whistledown's office. Let's talk about Cressida's costumes. The whole time, every time she was on screen, I was like, oh, we're going to be talking about this on a podcast. She is so over the top and I just love her for it. And this is why like she was kind of believable as Whistledown, actually. You're like, oh, of course, like the most extravagant person here that has like a love for drama and the theatrics. So it really made sense.
I love that they established at one of the balls that like she's a person who usually has gossip when they're looking for gossip at the one ball. When people find out that Colin's been helping Penelope, they look to Cressida first and she's like, no. So like clearly I'm like, that's not implausible. I feel like to a lot of the time that Cressida could be Lady Whistledown. But as we know, she is not. And John talked to In Style a bit about her color story, especially with Eloise, saying people are going to talk a lot about colors of the families and of the characters. With Eloise and Cressida, this is an area where we softened the colors on both of them and made them a little more on the same level now. It's like a friendship that's forming, and so the colors are sort of tying through that. And we see a softer side of her coming out, saying how important it is to have a friend. And it's a little bit more sensitive than the Cresta we've seen before, which like, absolutely. She really is trying to be Eloise's friend in the first half of the season.
She was totally trying. And
she's misunderstood.
Yeah. She's, I don't know. Yeah, she has a soft place in our hearts. I hope Shonda, again, we would like to see her in season 4.
I really was thinking the whole time, though, I was like, oh, she's giving in love with Eloise. Like, you know?
Yeah, I too was wondering if that's where this season was going to go, but clearly it did not. And I love that he says, like, oh, we toned down Cressida. It's like, you did tone down her colors, sir.
She was not toned
You
down.
did not tone down her. No, you did not tone down her anything else. And
Yeah.
when he was
crazy
talking,
talk.
yeah. And when he was talking to Variety, John talked about the meaning behind Cressida's high fashion shoulder moments, because that's entirely what she had, was high fashion shoulder moments, was he wanted to give her some armor, because clearly she's coming up against, you know, a situation she never expected to find herself in, which was like, people are considering her an old maid. Her father's ready to sell her off. Like, she needs protection from somewhere.
Yeah, no, I love the shoulders. It's not toned down to me, but like I love her for that. You know, I love the big shoulders, and I think my favorite has to be that red one. I think that's when she like is like under the guise of like being Lady Whistledown, and she's wearing.
Yes.
We haven't talked about a red dress on this podcast in a minute.
No, we
Elizabeth.
haven't. We haven't.
This is the reddest, most sinister, I am the devil Lady Whistledown dress. Like, I would have been convinced, you know. It's such a good one.
Absolutely. And John talked to Variety about this dress. He said, it's like an FU dress when she walks in. It's translucent, so it's not giant or heavy. You're not really sure where it stops, where it starts, and you're not really sure if it's a red dress, which I'm like, that last statement, sir, you absolutely know it's a red dress.
Yeah.
You know, that's exactly what it is. And he says also in that interview that the writers wanted it to be a red dress.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's that color. And it just like suits the moment so well.
What part is that from? Is that when she's like said that she's Lady Whistledown and now she's like moonlighting as Whistledown, trying to convince everyone?
I think she's at the Mondrich's ball when she goes up to the queen and is like, hey.
Yeah, doesn't she walk in with her mother?
That's right. Yeah. When she
and then
has
she
her
hands
like
out the little pamphlets.
Yeah. Ooh,
that was a
good
badass moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, I'm here.
Yeah, and I was like, I mean, this takes the heat off of Penellope for a little bit too. So, I mean, you know.
She's just, they give her such sharp angles in all of these outfits too. Like, I don't know, just like the way that they do her hair and her, you know, her makeup and everything. Like, even in that red dress, her neck just looks so long and like, you know, she's not here to play.
She's not here to play. How is she not married? I
can't figure that out either. Well, I guess the shady Lord Featherington was trying to marry her last season. Oh. So I guess she I think she got caught up in that and didn't get a chance to find somebody else.
That's right. They would have been married, but then he got blackmailed.
As one does.
Yeah. Well, because Lady Featherington came up with an insane scene. That was wild.
And it worked.
How about that? It did work. It worked out for the best. What's not working out for the best, I don't think, is Eloise not being friends with Penellope.
Yeah.
Eloise has always been one of my favorite characters. She was not this season.
Ooh.
She was unlikable this season, unfortunately, which I think they did on purpose a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's just like, oof, yeah.
Well, we're gearing up for her season, I hope. So we're like,
I hope so too.
She has to go down before she could come up.
That's true.
Yeah. And it's just like, I feel like Eloise didn't know who she was this season, and she's always known who she is. And this season, she's trying to be a member of the Ton, which she absolutely is not. And you can see how miserable it makes her.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it was shitty of her, like, in that moment where she kind of, like, I think there's a moment in the part one where she's like standing around with all the girls and she's like, do you guys have anything actually like interesting to say? And it's like, girl, this is patriarchy. They didn't make this up. Like, no, they're just here doing their best with what they're given and what they're taught. And like, don't make fun of everyone because you think you're better. Like,
yeah. And it's like embroidery, a beautiful art form. And unfortunately, it is their only means of expression. So let them have it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Eloise is giving privilege this season, unfortunately.
But I think this is, in terms of costumes, this is one of my favorite seasons for her. I like that.
Really?
Yeah, I thought she looked so sophisticated and like, yeah, sure, she might be someone that maybe that she's not. But to me, it just felt like she had like a vision for herself, and she felt more, again, like a bit more mature and more like, you know, like it is her season, even though, you know, yeah, she was up to some shenanigans. But
I mean, definitely more mature. But she just looked constantly uncomfortable to me.
I think she is uncomfortable. I think she's uncomfortable because she is so buttoned up and sophisticated, and it's almost like she's trying to tell herself that she's okay and she's all right with her new friend who she actually doesn't like too much, and she's okay with not being friends with Penellope, and she's okay in these like a bit more sophisticated dresses that maybe her mother would want her to wear. Like, I think she spends the season trying to convince herself that she's okay, and I like that the costumes kind of aid her in that.
I like that too, but
she's not buying what I'm saying.
I miss my season 1 and season 2 Eloise.
She's scorned. She's too scorned. I do love the look with the little bow.
Came into this episode with some heat.
Yes. Maybe I have a lot of thoughts, Spencer.
She's been saving them up.
Yeah, the bow look though, that was a fun one.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's so cute. The blue, like, you know, wrap that looks really sophisticated and great.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. And Spencer, like you were saying, we've never seen Eloise like this before. And John talked to Vogue, and that was very much what he was going for, saying we do get to see her in some things that she wouldn't normally have worn before. We got to break out of her stiffer clothes and give her bows and ruffles, but it feels tailored rather than fussy.
Mm-hmm.
We try to keep her in a truer Regency style, but there are also references to Audrey Hepburn. There's something almost 60s about her long satin coats. We nod to My Fair Lady, and we even use pointed modern shoes on her to give her that slightly more modern look, which I'm like, Audrey Hepburn, absolutely. That ball when the news about Penellope and Colin comes out that has like these starburst flowers all over it. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, something about this feels familiar. And it's like, yes, this is Audrey Hepburn right here.
Mm-hmm, with the Audrey gloves.
Hepburn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the hair, like everything about her is Audrey Hepburn down to the ground. So, yeah, I don't know.
Except for her attitude.
Yeah. Eloise, I'm not as mad at you as Elizabeth and Chloe are, but
I'm not mad. I just don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. I'm just like, your friend, your best friend holds all the power in the town, and you're gonna turn against her instead of join her?
And it's like, I'm sorry, Eloise, but you were doing some very stupid shit last season. Like, if anyone, like, someone was going to find out about what was going on with her and that printer boy anyway. And I think Lady Whistledown stopped it before anything worse could have happened.
Yeah, before she was with child or, you know, something that she wouldn't have been ready to deal with. So,
or someone worse discovered her. But speaking of Lady Whistledown, should we get into the couple of the season, Penellope and Colin?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. The lady of the hour.
Not this Ronald McDonald special with that yellow. I'm so happy the yellow's gone.
Yeah,
I know.
That was one of my favorite parts of seeing Penellope like really get into these colors that I just felt like were so much more flattering on her. I mean, really, I want to shout out the entire Featherington family, honestly, because I think all of them kind of have a glow up together, like as a unit. From their mother to her two sisters, Penellope, like they all like kind of have this transition that I think looks really great. And I'm so happy that we did leave like the neon yellow behind.
Far behind. So far behind.
The Featherington family was one of the best parts of the season, I think.
Oh, yeah.
They were giving comedy on comedy. I'm like, it was so good.
It was so good. And I really liked their costume trajectory for Penellope. John talked to Teen Vogue a lot about her looks this season, saying, "Our mission was to showcase her body instead of trying to hide it with the Regency line. We wanted to show she's not a girl, she's a woman." Which I'm like, that was such a good call, especially for Nicola Colgan. Like, she's such a beautiful woman, and the costumes just show that off so well this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, not to, especially, I mean, she's a 37-year-old woman playing
I always forget about that.
How old is Penelope supposed to be? Like 20?
Early 20s, yeah.
Which is wild. But they let her shine.
Yeah,
they do.
I think that's why I almost like I've always had a hard time with Penellope, is because to me she always feels so young, and I think like the colors and costumes just made her feel like a little girl to me. So I was like kind of nervous going into this, but I do forget that she's like 37. She does not look anything close to 37 to me. I mean, she looks like she's our age, if that. And yeah, she looked incredible this season. I was so happy for her. And I especially love when we start the season with that transition when she comes out in that dark kind of like kind of gothy Vanessa Ives type look. It just was like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm waiting for.
That emerald green?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So good.
She said it's giving Reputation, and I'm in my Reputation era.
She absolutely is. Especially with like the metallics, because she's like, I want to shine. I want to like be out there and be noticed and attract some of these men, because she's so terrified at the prospect of one of her sisters becoming the lady of the house. I also love that the inspiration was a little bit more from Paris. Because I was like, that's your first clue that she can't end up with anyone besides Colin. Oh. Because that's what he mentioned. He mentions it like at the beginning of the season. Because she is like, oh, your clothes. And he was like, oh, yeah, it's like the latest fashion in Paris.
Yeah, she said, paint you like one of your French girls, babe. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And the Modi said, I got you.
Yeah.
Colin was playing chess, but she was playing checkers. She said, I am going to send subliminal messages to this man. And he doesn't even know, by wearing these outfits that are inspired by his travels, which he loves so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I didn't even put that together.
Yeah. That's why she says, I want looks from Paris.
Mm. And the modiste was like, of course, Lady Penelope Featherington.
Only the best for you.
And like just the whole season, it just gets better and better. And John talks some more to Teen Vogue about her look, saying, we softened her colors and used blue and green together. Little bits of pink, touches of yellow. We didn't want to place Easter eggs for people to think, oh, this blue dress means she's going to be a Bridgerton. I wanted to keep all the costumes a little mysterious because they were all changing and evolving, which... so true. And my absolute favorite look of hers was this like minty green with like the little like velvet bolero and the black and green like floral detail.
Yes, 10 out of 10.
Like, yeah. Yeah.
I love that too. It kind of was like, I know that John says it wasn't like super obvious, but to me, I was like, I feel like it was kind of like the Bridgerton blue and like the Featherington green kind of blending together a little bit, giving us this like mint ice cream that we like. So I don't know. She looked good.
And those colors just like make her red hair like stand out so much. And like the cut, it just goes so good together.
Oh, it pops so well.
Absolutely.
I love how, you know, costume designer, probably hair, makeup, everyone's trying to like do whatever they can and not have these Easter eggs so we can't guess what's going to happen this season. But let's all be real. This is like the most predictable season. We knew there was a point A and we're going to point B, and it's going to be them getting together or they're not getting together. And it just like 3 episodes in, we were like, all right, well, we know where this is going.
Absolutely. And of course, John knew that. He said to Teen Vogue, she had to bounce off a new Colin too. And visually, it had to happen very quickly. It was a challenge to make sure that it was right. It takes a little while to get the point, but all of a sudden, everyone, the people are making clothes, the actor, all of us go, oh, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, every time you see them together, it's like, oh, yeah, that's the couple of the season.
Yeah.
Like every single time.
Jeez, what did I put in that Bridgerton water, by the way? I mean, good Lord. Colin just popped up and I was like, Lady Bridgerton's just cranking out these attractive young men.
Literally.
I mean,
it's really the hair. You know, the hair does it all for a man, really.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Chloe, please give us like your assessment. What's going on here?
What's going on where?
I mean, with Colin, like, how did he get so attractive so fast?
Honestly, I was shocked, okay, because well, obviously season 1, the Duke's already hot, right? We all know that he's a stunner. You know, you don't need to sell me on it. But of course, like going into season 2, I was like, all right, like Anthony was not on my radar in season 1 as being hot. But then of course I was like, well, now I'm in love with this in real life gay man. And what am I going to do about that? And then season 3, though, I was like, I don't know if they can sell me on Colin. Like, that's just like not really for me normally, but I don't know. They gave him a tan. They curled that hair. I could have done without, I mean, I know you have to have the sideburns. It's like of the time, like we could have fixed that up a little bit, but you know, his fits were fitting. They were good.
Yeah. He looked great. He kind of looked like the Prince Charming a little bit to like Penelope's Bridgerton Cinderella. It was quite cute.
It was. And John Glaser had some pretty specific inspiration for Colin this season. As he spoke to Vogue about, he said, if you look at the first 2 seasons, Colin wears a lot of baby blue. But now he's been on a trip for 6 months and he's been in the cabin of a ship. In reality, he'd be smelly. His clothes would be dirty and he'd be unshaven. But this is Bridgerton, so you have to glamorize it a little bit. So we went straight to the Marlboro Man. We're not supposed to talk about smoking, but that guy's on a horse in the dust and dirt. He's a bit sweaty and he has a lot of swagger, which I was like, what is this man talking about? And then I looked up the Marlboro Man and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love a blue collar man just out there, you know, getting a little roughed up.
That's what it is. That's what it was. He came back from his travels and he's been traveling. He went to Paris. He's meeting all these women. He's a bit haggard. He's, I guess he's smoking cigs on the DL, drinking with his buds. Like he just came back like a man's man.
Yeah.
And, it was like tinder to the fire.
It also didn't really start selling me until it's the yearning of it all. Once he has that kiss with Penelope and he realizes I'm actually sick for this woman, that's when I become sick for him, because there's nothing better than a man yearning, It's just we need to bring back yearning. You don't see it like that anymore.
Yeah, he needs to be like Edward Cullen, like absolutely nauseous in that first period of biology. Just like he was ready to hop out of his seat. And after they had that kiss, I mean, he was having like dreams the very first part 2 of the season, right? Like he was down bad.
He was down bad. He was eating the desserts that she was licking that frosting off her finger. He said, I got to try this dessert just to see what it tastes like. He didn't know what to do with himself.
He did not. I also love his like piratey look of it all, because he's too trying to be somebody he's not this season. So it's like, when you see him like with the other women, you're like, Colin Bridgerton, this isn't you. Like, I don't know what you're trying to achieve here, but this isn't you. Talking to all these other men like this isn't you. But then once like he clicks with Penellope, I'm like, okay, Colin, this is who you are.
The Bridgerton men also have this secret weapon, which I noticed the three of them do. It's just like pop open the top few buttons on their shirt a little bit, just like revealing like a little bit of chest hair. Like he was very much I was thinking of Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, honestly. Like this is what I was seeing. I just feel like that's their secret weapon, and it's just unresistible to the women of this time.
Yeah, because one of them walks down the aisle.
Well, they also knew he was rich and eligible, and they said, let me get in that Bridgerton family, which honestly, I would be doing the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be like, Benedict, hello.
And Benedict
Are you
said,
still available?
Can't tie me down, babes.
Yeah, Benedict.
You can tie me down, but not tie me down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I needed to call
He's
a timeout on Benedict. We need to have a talk, Benedict.
I do feel like every season the writers are like, we need to redo his character.
100%.
And I'm just like, wait, what's happening? Anyway, every season ends with a wedding. And Penelope's wedding gown, gorgeous, perfect, chef's kiss. John talked to Shondaland about her gown, saying, some people thought it would be over the top, but we spoke to Nicola and we all discussed that we wanted nothing to take focus away from her character. We didn't want to do a white dress because I said she'll look like a nurse. We started off with pale blues. That was a little harsh against her skin color, so we thought, let's just do blush.
Yeah.
We wanted her to be able to move, look beautiful, and have a great silhouette. We wanted her to be completely different from her mother. Her mother gives her away, and just to look as classy as possible. This was her moment.
She looked fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great. I mean, her hair is like perfectly laid, and it just like you go scroll down, you just see this perfectly like blush dress. I kind of thought it was white first time I saw it, but now that I'm like looking at pictures, it's like a very subtle. It just looks beautiful on her skin, and she just looked incredible. And she's so funny though, standing next to her mom Portia, who's like dressed like a full-on peacock. I'm like, Portia just like can't resist herself, and I get it. But like that stark contrast, like Portia was actually setting up Penelope to look even more incredible, honestly.
But then she has the little blue bundle of flowers with the blue ribbon that just like plays so nicely with the dress, and like obviously nods to the Bridgerton. So
yeah. Oh, so
love
good.
that. Even though at this point, I'm like, they're getting married and they're mad at each other. I feel sick. Like,
I know.
Yeah. I did love like the little like smile and nod he gave her though.
Of course.
Before she walked down the aisle, because he was like, yeah, I'm pissed at you, but like, I do love and want to marry you.
Yeah. I'm just like, wait, guys, are we actually not going to talk about like episode 1 or like
that was straight up crazy.
Yeah.
I was watching that like 2 a.m. too. I was like, oh, okay. I'm
like, Spencer, do you have any thoughts on the carriage scene and the Pitbull of it all?
That is the best use of Pitbull I've ever heard. It was fantastic. I loved it. This is why I also feel like we need to have more like horse-drawn carriages in our big cities. And
so many things can happen in a carriage.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The best. Get rid of cars. I want to go everywhere horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah.
And, get my little radio that only plays like Vitamin String Quartet version songs of all my favorite songs. Like some Kendrick Lamar with some violin and piano.
To me, that was the scene of the season. It wasn't when they finally what's the word they use in Bridgerton?
They consummated their relationship.
Yeah, but like there's like a word that they use, whatever, it doesn't matter. But when they were intimate, if you will, it was the carriage scene of it all for me. That was the absolute peak, because I just felt like the buildup was there, and then at that point I just felt the actual honeymoon phase of it all after, and that scene with Colin and Penelope with the mirror, they just could have done so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The choreography of it all was not it for me. I was just like, you're going to put her on this uncomfortable chaise right now. She can't even move. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, I felt like this season they were trying to do too much with not enough time. It was like 8 episodes maybe, and we were trying to get in as much as we could. And I just was like, slow it down. Like, I think what made season 2 so successful is we were absolutely dying for Kate and Anthony to get together.
You have to have the tension. That's what I'm saying.
We knew it was going to happen, but like they made us wait till like the last damn episode.
Yeah.
Like this, it felt like very much like, I don't know, it just felt like everything was happening too quickly. And I just was like, let's let it burn a little bit. And I think they tried to like, oh, well, we'll do part 2 in a couple weeks. But even still, it was like, I don't know, pump the brakes a little bit. And I just like, in the whole time, I just could not stop thinking about how pissed Colin is going to be when he finds out she's Lady Whistledown. I knew that was happening any day now. I feel like she got away with like a slap on the hand. I gotta say, I was a little bit still.
Yeah.
I was still Eloise level pissed. I just felt like Penelope's written a little too much about the Bridgertons. That'd be a hard one for me to forgive, but you know. I guess when that Pitbull song started playing, I mean, how could Colin forget that carriage? So I guess it's easier to forgive after that.
Well, and also his lifelong friendship with her, obviously.
Yeah. I'm like, I almost wish they had ended the season with the carriage ride and him being like, well, come on, like, let's get married. And season 4 been more the drama of like, you have to tell Colin you're Lady Whistledown.
Yeah, like, oh, that's what I was going to say, was I just felt like, okay, they're admitting their feelings for each other, kind of. And then he's like, well, let's get married. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. And they do.
But like, I wish they would have had like more push and pull of like, oh, we just did that. Are we sure? Like, you know.
Yeah.
He basically sent an email and she was like, accept calendar invitation to wedding proposal. My least favorite thing was they finally are in love, right? It's the end of season and it cuts to like black and now she has a baby. I was like,
girl,
hold up. We had to wait 2 years to come back. And Kate and Anthony were still fucking, you know, like so why do we
That's
just
what I'm
like
saying.
they're like, here's a baby. Like,
because apparently they had to clear up the Featherington storyline this season.
No, they
apparently.
didn't. No, they fucking didn't.
Yeah.
Like that could have been drug out a season.
First
we
of
could
all,
have waited.
Okay, shout out to Alana if you're listening. I'm shouting at my mom because I told her I was doing this podcast and she said to tell Spencer and Elizabeth her opinion on it, which was that the PR campaign was better than the smut in the show. Ooh. And I said, you're right, Queen, because they were hyping it up being like, yeah, it's going to be literally the spiciest season, like all this and this and this. And we get one scene, and then at the end, Penelope's doing her thing, but she's wearing a giant fucking robe.
Right?
I said, who's doing
Spice
this?
in the room with us right now?
That's what I'm saying. And then they said, and now you're a mom, bitch. So
yeah.
Yeah, I almost fell out of my seat. I was like, I cannot believe they just handed her this big ass baby too. Like this baby looked like he was going on to 1 year or 2 years old already.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
This kid has a job and a social security number, and he's already getting ready to start.
Y'all did the curvily dirty. I was like, no, not this. Like, we could have had so much more. Just
we play with it a little bit longer. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Benedict had like kind of a more sultry season, and we didn't even ask for that.
No, I mean, loved it. Obviously, if we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Benedict Bicon Bridgerton. I said,
yeah,
you better work.
I also have to say, I was so mad at the end of the season when the lady was like, no, I think I just want to be with you. I was like, can we just have a throuple for the next season, please?
Yeah.
Like, why did you have to immediately end that?
But then I was more mad when Benedict fumbled the bag, though. And he was like, you know what? I'm into this. Like, I want to just explore. She was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that. But I'm like, why couldn't we have had the throuple?
And also, Benedict was gunning for her ass like the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then she said, I'm going to give you what you want. And he said, I actually don't want that anymore.
Yeah, I'm good.
Now that I can have it, I actually don't want it. So,
yeah.
And I dare to say, I think my favorite love romance in the entire season was Lady Bridgerton and Lady Danbury's brother. I thought
forgot about that.
That was exceptional. That was yearning. We were waiting for this to happen all season, and we still didn't even really get it. And do you know what I'm gonna be looking forward to next season? Lady Bridgerton and Lady Danbury's brother. I want more of that.
Yeah.
And I loved that her and Lady Danbury finally addressed the elephant in the room, which was that
right.
She said, listen, I know you fucked my dad and I'm gonna fuck your brother. And so we're kosher.
And it's gonna be okay.
And that is Bridgerton season 3 for you all. Woo, it's hot in here. I'm sweating.
The real opinions are coming out.
Yeah. I think we need to take a little break and get ourselves back together, have some more tea, so we could play our favorite game, which actually sounds quite impossible. I don't know how we're going to pick our favorite costume, but let's do it. Let's take a break.
Hi, this is Dan, audio engineer of the podcast, here to let you know that if you wanted to support the show, you can head over to theartofcostume.com/podstore. There you can buy some awesome TeePublic merch with the podcast logo, such as a shirt, coffee mug, stickers, and of course, a baby onesie. Thanks for all your support.
Are you guys ready to... we've been talking behind the scenes. You guys might have thought we took a break, but we've just still been hashing it out behind the scenes. But I think we're ready to play our favorite game. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Daniel, you know what to do.
The one costume to rule them all.
Spencer, would you like to start us off?
I would. And I, being a co-producer and co-host of the Art of Costume podcast, I feel like I get to break the rules every once in a while. So I'm picking a unit, and I am picking the Featherington family, actually sans Penellope. I'm talking Portia, Prudence, Philippa. I thought they looked so good in the finale at the ball when they walked in with the butterflies, and I just felt happy for them because, like Chloe mentioned earlier, I feel like the Featheringtons just always get looked down upon, and this is just their moment to just see them happy, and they look great. And I don't know, I just thought this was such a great season for Portia also. You know, she was having this like kind of push and pull, and I like at one point where, you know, Penelope's like always browbeating her mom, talking about how absent she is, which is true. Portia's not the world's best mother. But I think there was one point where Portia was there that was like, look, my life sucks, and I'm just trying to make sure you guys have a better life than I did, because my life has been pretty rough. Yeah, I'm rich, but like everyone hates me and no one wants to hang out with me. So at least you get this cool life. And I kind of like took a moment. I was like, yeah, she's right. Like she really has just been out here just trying to get her freaking kids to just do something so they could move on and everyone be happy. So I don't know. I love that season finale. I thought it was fantastic just seeing them all together.
Side note, I also thought that I knew that she would find out that Pen was Lady Whistledown, and I knew that she was going to support the fuck out of her.
Yeah.
And she did. And she did.
Yeah.
Elizabeth's like, hear that, Lady Bridgerton? A supportive
felt
mother. Mother.
I felt like that was going to bridge like the gap between Penellope and her mom. And her mom was going to actually be like, oh, I actually respect you so much. And like...
Portia's ride or die. She said, where am I burying the body? That's what we're going to do.
Well, it starts when Colin walks in and is like, stop talking to Penellope like that.
That I was down bad for at that moment.
Yeah.
I said, a man defending her honor?
Right?
And then Penelope walks up with that bag of cash stones. She's like, how does this make you feel, Mom? And Portia was like, real good.
So good. So good.
She's not going
Wait,
to prison
wasn't the
anymore.
sex scene after he stood up to her mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Of course.
And Portia was getting ready to Martha Stewart her way over to prison before Lady Whistledown stepped up. So
it all worked out.
Yeah. But I also particularly liked Prudence's wardrobe because it was definitely inspired by what her mother was putting them in.
Yeah.
But in a much more tasteful way than what Portia has done. So great choice, Spencer.
Thank you. Elizabeth, what was your one costume rule them all?
My one costume to rule them all was Penelope's wedding gown because it just suits her so well. And I didn't put this in the episode, but when John talked about this gown, he said, he wanted to keep her independence from her family as part of the gown, which is why they did not go over the top. And next to her mother, it shows she really has moved on from being a Featherington. She's ready to start the new chapter of her life. When he talked about combining fabrics and layering, it shows beautifully in this. The idea of a garden, she has all these beautiful rosettes at the bottom. And it just really showed off Penelope and how far she's come and where she's going for the rest of her life. So I thought it was just excellent.
Yeah. It's a great choice. And one thing about Elizabeth is she loves a wedding dress, and that will be her one costume rule them all. And it's a good one.
Almost every time.
Yeah, this is a great one though. Especially I love seeing her stand next to Portia too. Because it very much is the story, and it's like, that is what I was, and this is who I am now. And I'm Penelope Bridgerton, and I was sold at that point.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The dress is a selling point for the rest of her life.
Chloe, our special guest, Lady Whistledown in real life in the flesh. What was your one costume to rule them all?
Well, it seems like we were all obsessed with the Featheringtons this season because my one costume to rule them all was also a Penelope look. And you know me, I love a bad bitch moment. And my favorite costume was when Penelope shed her yellow, pink, crazy gowns of the past, and she put on that emerald green number with the gloves, and she walked into that ball at the top of the stairs, and she said, I'm here, and this is me. She said, this is real, this is me. So
this is who I'm supposed to be.
Exactly. And men's jaws were dropping around the room, and everyone was like, who is that queen? Yeah. And everything about that, I was just eating it up. I was like, yes, this is, it takes a lot of guts to do something like that. And sometimes I feel, not to get deep with it, but in real life, I'll wear some crazy stuff to work. And I'm always like, oh, are people going to be they're going to be like, oh, you dressed up today, whatever. People are going to be looking at you. And it takes a lot of guts to just really change it up from what everyone knows you to be and go out there and stand out. And she did it, and it sold. It worked.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
A really good point. I mean, it looks like a whole new Penelope. She looks badass. I don't know. I hear like Evanescence playing in the background now. She's walking down these stairs with that black glove. She just looks sultry and just, yeah, she looks incredible.
The embodiment of Lady Whistledown,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
absolutely.
that was a good one. And that brings us to the end of Bridgerton season 3. I feel it's a little bittersweet because we only get to talk about the show like every other year, so it's gonna be forever. But
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll be quicker with the next one.
right, but more episodes though. You hear that, Shonda? More episodes.
Oh, yeah.
We needed just 2 more. 2 more.
Yeah.
Two.
Round it out.
There needs to be like the one filler episode in the middle, which season 1 did this, where it's just them hooking up for 55 minutes.
Yeah. That'd be perfect.
It's filler, but it set the tone, you know?
Yeah.
We need one.
And
We needed more Penelope and Colin getting down. That's what we wanted.
absolutely. And speaking of stories and what we thought about it, Spencer, should we break out the new rating system for the Art of Costume?
Oh, yeah. So, Chloe, we've been field testing this.
Okay.
We've been rating our new movies or new seasons of shows. And, it's like 1 out of 5 stars, but we've been calling it 1 out of 5 stitches. Like 5
Love.
stitches is like, this is tailored down. It is looking great. It's fitting within an inch of your life. And 1 stitch is like, if you push on this sleeve a little too much, it's going to rip right off. Or if you bend over, your pants are going to split open.
Is this based on costuming or is this based on
No.
The whole.
overall
whole.
feelings about it?
Mm-hmm. And listeners, by the way, we're still field testing the stitches part. So if you have something better, we're still open. But, let's give it a go. Chloe, how many stitches would you give this season?
Okay. And not to be controversial, I think I would have to go, if I can do half stitches,
Okay.
I would have to say, for me, a 3.5 out of 5. I just wanted more. I just think season 2 had me so sick and down bad. And I mean, that was partially because it was enemies to lovers, which is the it's the ultimate trope, granted. Mm-hmm. But I would say like it was a 5 out of 5 for me for like the first part. I was just disappointed by the ending they gave Penelope because I just felt like she didn't really get her full moment to like shine in her couple. So I would have to say 3.5.
Mm-hmm. Elizabeth?
I absolutely agree. I'm going to go a tiny bit lower. Give it again, a solid 3 stitches.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it was a little rushed. It did go a little too fast. There was a little too much going on. So we didn't get everything we wanted. But, they moved it along. They told their story. It looked fabulous. So, yeah, this garment's holding together. This show's holding together with a solid 3 stitches.
I have to say, I also am at a 3 stitches because Bridgerton is still like a visual triumph, and they could put out 50 episodes of garbage and I would watch all 50 episodes regardless.
100% same.
We are Bridgerton fans to the day we die, and I hope Shonda Land creates all seasons. But it just felt rushed, and I just felt like the ending was just like not what I once they had that baby to Penelope, that's like what cemented it for me. I was like, all right, I've had it. But like visually is beautiful, and like we've talked about, like there were some really great moments. I just don't know if the great moments were between Penelope and Colin, really. Like, there's a lot happening, a lot of great storylines that we didn't really get to fully tell to the potential that they had, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was still fun. Am I going to watch it again? Probably.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I say 3.5, knowing that I'm still obsessed with it, So.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that brings us to the end of Bridgerton. I can't think of a better way. I think I do like stitches. Yeah, it's selling in my head.
Yeah, right?
If you all loved this episode, or if you have some interesting gossip about the women and men of this ton, please leave us a voicemail at 626-515-1826 or send us an email at theartofcostume@gmail.com. Tell us what your one costume to rule them all was. Or if you wanted more carriage scenes, or if you feel like Cressida could have had bigger sleeves, I want to know about it. So email us. Elizabeth, what is our next episode in Hot Girl Summer?
Ooh, Spencer. We are watching a movie where everyone is a hot girl. Next week, we are watching Pirates of the Caribbean.
Hell yeah. That's a sexual awakening movie, if I ever heard one.
Right?
That's so funny. I'm so excited. We're watching Curse of the Black Pearl, right?
Yes, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl.
Man.
Forgot to write that part down.
I'm so excited.
First one.
Yeah, the like romance between Jack and Elizabeth, and then we have Will Turner. It's just all
Will
good
Turner,
stuff. Ooh,
yes.
I'm excited. Get your sunscreen. It's going to be a hot one. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to us on youtube.com/attheartofcostume. Our good gentleman, Daniel, has been killing it with upgrading our YouTube channel. So lots of good stuff coming up, including pictures from this episode if you want to see a lot of these dresses that we're talking about, because there were a lot of costumes. Don't forget to follow us at Instagram at The Art of Costume Pod, TikTok at The Art of Costume. It is literally 95 degrees outside right now in Los Angeles. So if you need a t-shirt, head to theartofcostume.com/pod store. And as always, leave us a 5-star text review on Apple Podcasts. Even if you got a comment on how hot the Bridgertons are, just do that with 5 stars. And we appreciate that because it really does help get us noticed. Lady Chloe White, it has been such a pleasure. I hope that you will come back and join us more often, because what you bring to the table is very important to the conversation.
Oh, thank
Absolutely.
you. Yes, thank you for having me. I'm not a costume expert, but I do have lots of opinions. So that works out, I think, for this kind of thing. So yeah, you just let me know. Call me, beat me. If you want to reach me, I'll be here.
The Art of Costume podcast is hosted and produced by Elizabeth Joy Glass and Spencer Williams. Our audio engineering and editing is done by Dan White. Follow us on TikTok at The Art of Costume and Instagram at The Art of Costume Pod. If you want to support the show, go to theartofcostume.com/podstore. For more podcast updates, costume reviews, deep dives, and interviews, go to theartofcostume.com, a blog dedicated to highlighting the best in costume design.